So just when you think things couldn't get any worse for the formerly known as Westfield San Francisco Center Mall, you've got just a slew of store closures. And I mean a slew. Let's get into it. Here we go. So if you haven't been following the storyline, Westfield, the owners of the Westfield Mall, they basically ditched out saying, hey, here's the keys back to the lender. Their lender's looking at taking it over. You've got all this stuff going on. You've got lawsuits. You've got whatnot. In the meantime, this isn't a great environment for all these stores, which there are less than half of in this mall. It's not a place where they want to be because they don't know stability. They have no idea how long they can sign a lease for, and nobody's there. Nobody is there. The reason nobody is there in this part of town is because you've got street conditions that have been just horrific, terrible. Combine that with the work from home. Everybody left the financial district, and it's just kind of this wasteland. So, all the mayors of these big cities know we got to get people, we got to get businesses back into the downtown core. That is their major thing that they're working on right now. Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, LA, they're all concerned because the revenue isn't there from all the commercial real estate that normally is. Let's take a look at the actual mall, and then we're going to take a look at video of what San Francisco's plan is, because as they're bleeding out all these businesses, the mayor knows. The mayor's on the hot seat. New mayor, Daniel Lurie. He's very aware. Hey, you're losing a lot of businesses. What are you going to do? Well, I've got a 5-point game plan. Here's the mall.
Francisco Center in the city's financial district might just be one of the most depressing things you can do. That's if you're like me and you remember this mall when it was packed with stores just 10 years ago. On this day, that is no longer the case.
Was there ever a time that you would shop there?
All the time. Yeah, all the time. Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you still shop there? I mean, I know there are a couple stores that are still there.
I don't anymore. The stores that are still open are
Steve Madden. Shoes.
Half of all the stores at the San Francisco Center are gone. In fact, several additional
Closed.
in the last few days.
I feel sad that some of the stores are closing. We have nowhere to go,
Now, all eyes on this Bloomingdale's, the company's second biggest location in the nation, that will be closing soon. The sign says they're already in their last 10 days, hence the 70% off and the many people we saw busy shopping away and looking for a deal.
I got some clothes for my kids. It's like a $13 dress. I mean, that part of it's awesome, but obviously I don't like to see stores closing. I know a lot of people are doing online shopping.
Okay.
Me, I do a lot of online shopping. However, I still enjoy walking around a mall. There's like a nostalgia that it brings.
Nostalgia ain't going to cut it moving forward for these businesses in malls that are impacted by horrific street conditions, by people coming in from the outside and pooping in the elevator. We got to work past that. And these businesses, they've just simply had enough. They've just had enough. It's been years and years and years of this. And they've said, we're going to go anywhere else, as have more than half of the stores in this really big San Francisco mall. Sorry.
Through the clothes. So I think it's just overall, it feels sad.
What can I say about it? It's depressing. It's sad. I feel bad actually even looking at the sale because there are people who are out of jobs now.
As to what is next for the San Francisco Center, I asked the mayor Wednesday night at a nearby event.
What do you think should happen to that property?
Well, what needs to happen everywhere is that we need to have safe and clean streets.
Give him credit. He understands that component. He gets it. All right. Nobody's going to come in here unless we get the streets clean. So he's doing an emphasis on that. Whether or not it'll have the long-term impact, I don't know how it can, because you've still got just a bunch of nut jobs running around with swords, right? I mean, machetes half the time. You got a bunch of people that are whacked out on drugs that are, mentally not in their right minds. And oftentimes combination of the two, and they're committing crimes. They're just running around doing stuff willy-nilly. Where are you going to put all those people? He knows.
We need to invite businesses back.
Is there incentives to get them back into that building? Because it's still in great shape.
We're working with the owners of that building, but really just broadly speaking, we have to invite business back.
Something that, by the looks of things, could be a challenge at this once prominent location. J.R. Stone,
Challenge.
NBC7 News.
A challenge. Man, when half of the stores are gone, that is more than a challenge. That is, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? So what are they doing? Here's San Francisco's new plan. Let's watch a quick video. Does it make sense? Yes, but more importantly, no. Here we go.
San Francisco's 6th Street is a good example of the street conditions San Francisco's mayor is hoping his new plan will address. Along the street south of Market, people are sprawled out on the sidewalk and drugs are easy to find. Mike lives in the area, said he's been the victim of crime himself and has even had his wheelchair stolen.
Get this drug crackheads out of here because they're robbing people. I've been robbed twice in the last few years. And that's why I'm moving out of the neighborhood, because it's getting out of hand.
Now, San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie is laying out details of his new coordinated approach to tackle homelessness, mental health, and the alcohol and drug crisis on the streets.
We are launching a new integrated neighborhood street team model that will help us do more.
The new plan aims to coordinate the various agencies that address homelessness, mental health, and alcohol and drug dependency into what the mayor's office calls 5 tightly knit neighborhood units.
So what are they going to do? What are they going to do with this guy? This guy's, he's smoking the 𝗣𝗨𝗧𝗪 for sure. He's passed out just wherever the F he wants. This guy isn't going to go into treatment. He's not going to go into housing. How is any kind of game plan going to address this without involuntarily incarcerating somebody, whether it's in prison, rehab, or a mental institution? How you gonna do that? So your 5-point game plan, your 5-location game plan is great and all if you believe everybody's gonna play ball. But like this guy, he's not gonna play ball. He's just not gonna play ball.
San Francisco's Department of Emergency Management workers will act as team conductors to coordinate those efforts. Mary Ellen Carroll, who heads the DEM, says the new organizational efforts will make everything work more efficiently.
This guy's got tats all over his face. He's got tats all over his forearms. He's asleep, in the early afternoon, it looks like, per the shadows. You got some kind of bag out in front, some free food, he's got 1 foot on the curb. I mean, this guy's just whacked out of his mind on something, right? What are you going to do with this guy? What are you going to do with this guy? Do you think this guy, after living on the streets for who knows how long, is just one day going to go, yeah, I'll take some housing? This guy's probably already got housing, right? He's just out there on the streets doing his thing because, they don't really like him smoking the 𝗣𝗨𝗪 in his single room occupancy unit.
And set up a system of accountability.
But it really helps to ensure that you have shared goals, shared vision, your objectives are the same, and probably most importantly, that it keeps us very agile.
San Francisco.
As opposed to the inagility that you have now. I mean, it keeps you agile. What does that mean? In layman's terms, how does that translate to cleaning up the streets? I don't know. It's still unclear, right?
Police in the mayor's office point to large-scale enforcement efforts at Jefferson Square Park and at Market and Van Ness over the last few weeks.
Okay.
An indication of the kinds of resources that will be brought to bear on areas where drug markets pop up, and say they'll work to combat the issue of where drug markets are disrupted only to appear in other parts of the city.
Yep.
That's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to have neighborhood teams that are going to see that displacement happen. We know that it does happen. We understand that. We're not denying that. We are accepting that, and we are going.
What happens is they stay, cleaned up for a few weeks. And if you're not on them 24/7, those markets come right back. And guess what? San Francisco does not have the resources to do this. They don't have the police budget. They don't have the number of police officers. It's an effort, but it's a short-term effort to make it look better than it actually is. One of the other stories that I've been covering a ton has been the foreclosure process of 35-story skyscraper tower in downtown Portland that houses it's called Building 216, and it's the Ritz-Carlton. And it's got a bunch of condo units, of which only like 12 are sold. You've got 5 stories of office space. You got some retail. You got a condo project. You got a hotel, none of which are doing well. And it's because you've got street conditions in that part of Portland that are not conducive to having an upper end scale, either condo with prices that Portland has never seen. You got a bunch of stuff going on in areas of downtowns that big businesses say, no, we're not dealing with that. If there's an afterlife walking around San Francisco Center on a recent Thursday afternoon, it's what I'd imagine being in limbo might feel like, the author starts off with. That's quite a statement, right? Movie poster is advertising the apocalyptic 28 Years Later sequel. Cling to the exterior of a Bloomingdale's, taking its last gasp of air. Bloomingdale's, Nordstrom, you name it, they have left. Coldplay distantly echoes from an unseen speaker as teenagers take selfies in front of the flickering sign of a shuttered frozen yogurt stand. It sounds like the end of times, right? You know what? For a big mall in North American City, this is not uncommon. Retail has changed. The way people shop has changed. They go on Amazon. And so if they have a mall where they don't feel comfortable parking, where they don't feel comfortable just approaching physically because the area is unsafe, they're not going to go there. And retailers who are already having a difficult time selling their stuff in a mall environment, they're going to shut down businesses that have the potential for safety issues. And that's so much of what we've seen. Within about 15 minutes of wandering around the near empty mall, where 9 new store closures have recently been announced, 9 new store closures. This is not going in the right direction. And this will continue to go in the wrong direction for quite some time, because it's going to be one of those deals where, well, let's walk around the streets. Let's see how we're doing. Are things cleaned up? Let's come back in a week. We'll see how things are going. You got to put all these folks somewhere that have been causing all this crime, causing all these street conditions, causing all the drugs, causing all the stolen stuff going on, stealing from stores, shoplifting. People come in threatening other people, just absolutely whacked out of their minds. This is San Francisco. This is Portland. This is Seattle. This is what they're stuck with for a while. Maybe forever. Who knows? Because unless you get to the root cause for most of these people, they're not going anywhere. And the judicial system certainly isn't going to take them off the streets and put them in jail, because, let's be honest, Seattle, San Francisco, we're just not doing that kind of thing. It seems I've been flagged for suspicious behavior where he's just been walking around. A security guard starts tailing me and asks if I need to find something. On second thought, maybe he's just bored. He's just doing something. He's like, hey, can I help you find something? A guy going around with a camera, he's not exactly a huge threat, right? Here's the advertisement for the movie 28 Years Later. Look, Bloomingdale's having a huge sale right now. Back-to-back retailer exodus might be the largest wave of closures to hit the downtown mall yet, as it heads for a once again delayed foreclosure auction in June. What does that look like? Let's take a little look. Dying downtown San Francisco Mall heads to auction. It's been a tumultuous time for downtown San Francisco malls. Last week, in a surprising turn of events, it was reported that the jam-packed Metreon had been officially listed for sale. Now the San Francisco Business Times reports that the fate of San Francisco's mall, Westfield Mall, now known as Emporium Center San Francisco, is slated to be decided in a foreclosure auction November 14th. So they just keep kicking those things out because you've got stuff going on behind the scenes. You've got folks that are taking them all over, folks that are giving up responsibilities. I mean, you just got a bunch of stuff going on. Some of this has to be done in the court system because I think you got a bankruptcy involved as well. In June of this year, the troubled mall offered glimmers of hope when it announced lease signings for 7 new, but not major tenants. You got some small companies coming in that are like, hey, it's pretty cheap rent. This is a real mall. Let's roll the dice on coming in here. Bitch, they did year extensions on their lease. But that didn't stop the bleeding. Last month, the Japanese noodle chain Ajisen Ramen permanently closed. Uh-oh. A ramen place to close down? That's not good. So we've had major closures, including Banana Republic, American Eagle, Cinemark, the movie theater. They can't make a go of it. And they don't want the liability of bringing people into a mall where you've got just a bunch of nut jobs running around. And as a result, nobody's shopping there. And everybody knows this isn't the mall that you go shopping to because over half of it is empty. Go to a mall where it's filled, where you got lots of people running around. You'll feel more safe. And so that's literally what people are doing. So you've got that. Exodus of businesses from San Francisco Center continues. This was at the end of March. You got 3 luxury watch makers, Rolex, Bucherer, and Panerai. They just pulled out. Just said, nope. San Francisco, Westfield Center Mall, now known as whatever. This is not for us. This is not the location that we were thinking that it was. Next, the Razor Company store that had been operated in the mall since 2016 will close on March 31st. It just closed, putting 5 employees out of a job. Bloomingdale's was the last straw, he said. April 11th will be the last day for Coach and Kate Spade stores, according to people knowledgeable about the company's operations. You just got store after store after store that have said, I don't think we need to be here anymore. Here's Psycho Bunny. They closed down as well. It's a weird name for a store, right? I mean, we are currently offline. That's the Razor Company. We're offline. Yeah, we're offline as of April 3rd and pretty much not going to be back online. They've closed down. We're not going to renew our lease. Don't care how much money we put in there. It's not worth it for us to be there because there's nobody shopping there. We all know why. We all know what happened. And yet, city officials are going to have a really hard time getting people back in because they can go to other malls where city officials didn't allow the street conditions to go to absolute crap. So this is a direct result of what happens when you have misguided compassion and you just let whatever happened to your street conditions. Oh yeah, those folks weren't running around. They'll get their act together at some point in time. And you're like, when? And then more importantly, why? Why would they have a come to Jesus moment when they're absolutely whacked out of their mind on drugs? They wouldn't. They're not going to. They're not going to. But with all the misguided philosophies that you have in a big blue liberal city, the end result is what we're seeing is a massive shopping mall has less than half of its space currently occupied because people don't feel comfortable shopping there on top of all kinds of other things. You got the shoplifting, you got the remote work from home, you've got businesses that have left the downtown core. And this is not just related, specifically to downtown San Francisco. In Oakland, due to just straight up safety issues, Lululemon just decided to pull out. They're like, yeah, Lululemon store in the corner of 25th and Broadway in uptown Oakland is quietly closed its doors for good. They didn't even really give a reason why. They were just kind of like, yeah, we're out of here. We're gone. I know. And I just released a podcast on that. But my first thought when I saw this, that Lululemon was gone from Oakland, I'm like, there's a Lululemon store in Oakland? Really? Wow, that's aggressive. Yeah, upper end product, very expensive. People are stealing from it left and right. All kinds of video out there. Yeah, just stealing from Lululemon. So when you've got street conditions that say, come shop with us or duck and roll, right? Gunshots incoming. Or dude with a sword incoming, dude with a machete, dude with a knife. Interesting thing about the Lululemon. So, news release, the end of March, their revenue is up overall by 10%. They'd opened up and increased 56 new stores for a total of 767 stores in the United States. But they choose to close down a handful, Oakland being one. Kind of, tells you everything you need to know, right? Yeah, well, we're not going in the right direction here in Oakland. And things with the mall, things with San Francisco, they're not going in the right direction either. And it's going to take just a massive, massive effort that I am not sure politicians in San Francisco have the backbone to pull off, which is they need to do a hardcore Rudy Giuliani. They need to do the broken windows. They need to start at the absolute bottom, work their way up. Do they have the money? How are they going to put that together? What are they going to do with all these people? You hear plans like you heard the plan from Daniel Lurie, the new mayor. Well, we're going to do this 5 neighborhood thing. And it's like, okay, but every other politician has tried one of these things as well, right? They've all tried. And unless you're bringing something new to the table that we haven't heard of before, I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to work. We've got people in Seattle trying to convince us that everything in downtown is great. It's 95% contained. And you're like, all right, so why did Cheesecake Factory just leave downtown Seattle? Why are they leaving? Why is that? Well, because things are so great that they're looking for opportunity elsewhere. And you're like, no, this whole area of downtown Seattle, the core, on the first level, street level, you've got vacancy. You got way more vacancies than you have occupied. A lot of big businesses. So all of the big blue cities that kind of just let their downtown cores go during the pandemic, they are paying the price. And on a retail basis, I think the San Francisco Center Mall, formerly Westfield Mall, it's one of the most high profile, along with the Ritz-Carlton in complex that's in foreclosure in downtown Portland. Those are some prime examples of the impact of misguided compassion on commercial real estate, and ultimately the money, the lifeblood that you need to run a city. You don't have it in these big cities, and you don't have anything moving forward that you can hold out to businesses and say, yep, we're all good. We're all cleaned up. We're going in the right direction. We're headed forward. Instead, you've got stories like this that point to the obvious, which is street conditions are still no longer safe. People do not want to shop. They don't want to buy a condo. They don't want to stay in a 5-star hotel. They don't want to go to Bloomingdale's. They don't want to go to Nordstrom because all those stores are pulling out because it's not optimal. Not that hard to figure out. And yet, and for the big blue liberal cities, they're all left with, I don't understand why nobody wants to be here. It's like, where you been? Well, just a bunch of nonsense. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks again for being here. Bye for now.